Recording live in the virtual Lucky Number 7 Lounge, this is Dine, Drink Vegas, the podcast by and for everybody stuck at home wishing they were in the land of neon lights and bad decisions. I'm your host, John, also known as the Baller on a Budget, and we are in episode 33, Overrated Vegas Things, in which we're going to tell you what you might not want to do in Vegas. We'll get to our drink of the day, and we'll share some news stories that we thought were interesting. But before we could do any of that, you know what time it is if you're a regular listener. We have to bring in the founder of Dine, Drink Travel himself, the former high roller of the High Plains, the leader in the luxury lounge, the king of comps, the Alabama slammer, the man who is always booking a limo to take him to that luxury resort. Of course, I mean Bill. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, John. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're off our normal schedule. I'm used to saying good afternoon. We're recording on a Monday night. We'll probably drop. Normally we do Sundays every 2 weeks. Well, we're 8 days out from the last episode. I'm sure we'll drop this before Sunday, but we've got a big travel weekend with some family stuff going on. So we're getting this one in the can early. And so it's good to see you on a Monday night, Bill.
It is good to see you. I just wish, as we're sitting here talking and enjoying our drinks, that the liquor stores in Alabama were as good as the liquor stores in Texas, because the advantage of our state-controlled liquor stores here is that, the allocations are fairer and the prices are quite frequently better, but good Lord, there's stuff we just don't have, and that became a problem with tonight's drink of the day.
It did, because we had a different cocktail planned, but you could not get the key ingredients. So what we're doing instead is something from Difford's Bartending Guide, simply called the Port Wine Cocktail. Now, this drink originated in the early 1900s from a French book about American recipes, American bar recipes, American bar receipts de boissons anglaises et americanas, I guess. I don't know. And that recipe was basically port wine and bitters, and that was it. Didn't specify a port, no added booze, nothing. But our version from Difford's Guide, 2.5 ounces of port. They recommend a tawny port, 1.25 ounces of cognac. They recommend Remy Martin, 2 dashes of regular Angostura and a dash of orange Angostura. Bill, how did you build yours?
So I used the same proportions you're talking about. I just made it slightly larger because, I've had a week at work, and the port, well, whatever, the total effect to me is it tastes like it's a really sweet Manhattan. So it was 2-to-1 port to the cognac. I put in more bitters, and in particular, I put in more orange bitters. When you and I were getting ready for production for this show, I said that this would be better if it had a piece of orange peel with it, and you said that I should have actually done that in the first place. So
Yep.
I did exactly the ratios you listed. I just added in extra bitters and then hastened to go get the orange peel, and it reminds me for all the world of a really sweet Manhattan. What did you do, John?
So, same thing. Now, I did not buy a tawny port because the only bottle I could find was $60. And I didn't have $60, so I bought just a regular ruby port, the Fornesca Ben 27, which is a Portuguese port, so a port. And when I got home, I realized I was out of brandy. So I made mine with bourbon, Buffalo Trace to be exact. So 2-to-1 ratio with the bitters and an orange peel. And sweet Manhattan is exactly what this is. Or because I made it with bourbon, really this is like a Kentucky sangria. And I mean that in a good way.
So what do you think the difference is? Because you've got a more refined taste than I do for this sort of thing. What do you think the difference is making this drink with bourbon rather than with cognac?
I would assume that a cognac would round out the fruity flavors and not give you quite as much vanilla and oak, but give you, although you'd get bits of that because brandy's barrel aged as well, but you would lengthen the grape flavors and probably get some raisiny notes and a little more fruity complexity. which I think would be welcome in this particular drink. The thing that I actually think would have been better for this, if I'm honest, would be a really peaty scotch. It could use some smoke.
No, peaty scotch is the wrong answer to whatever life's question happens to be.
No, I think doing this as a Rob Roy variant, because a Rob Roy is a Manhattan with scotch. I think you do this with some Lafroig, and so it's like, throwing some cherries on the campfire and going to town. At any rate, it's a little different than our normal beverages, so it was nice to try something new. So,
No,
Bill, you want to? Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Like, I really enjoy this, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
a nice drink, and it is, particularly now that I've got the bottle of port, it is absolutely something I can say I will almost certainly pour myself more of over the course of this week.
Well, and now that we have bottles of port, we'll be coming up with some other port cocktails over the next few months before these bottles completely oxidize. And I'm not a big port drinker, but it's nice to do something different. And I have a feeling when we get to summer, since I brought up the word sangria, I do know there's some margarita variants that involve port. I have a feeling we're going to get a little fruity for the summertime.
I think that is outstanding. Well, John,
Well,
is it time? Yes, is it time to talk
yeah.
about our top overrated Vegas experiences?
Yeah, so the way we're going to do this tonight is both of us have listed our top five. So five being the least overrated, and number one being our most overrated. And so we'll just ping pong back and forth with our number five. I did notice that only one of ours coincided. We both agreed on our number two, which is kind of interesting. But Bill, I'm going to let you start working from least overrated to most overrated. What's your number five?
So my number five, an overrated experience, although there's ones that are worse. I think that the concept of free drinks in the casino is overrated. And here's why. I can't afford to be gambling $100 a hand. That's not the sort of money that I make. What that means is that if I want a bourbon drink, the bourbon's going to be something shot out of a well gun. Like, there's no request at all. Like, and I don't want a top flight thing. I just, like, I don't know, maybe Maker's Mark, even sometimes Jim Beam is too good for the folks on the casino floor. And I would rather pay for a drink I enjoy than lose money gambling to get a free drink. So for me, free drinks on the casino floor is overrated because it's terrible liquor.
Yeah, I don't know that that's universally true, but I've had that experience in a few places. And by the way, I should have prefaced this before we went going. Before we went going, my Lord, I went full redneck. All right, before we started this,
Come join me in Alabama, John. We will
no
help
kidding.
redneckify you.
Oh, good Lord, I don't need much help with that. But we're not saying these things are bad per se. A free drink is a free drink. If you happen to be gambling and you want a drink, whatever they give you for free is better than a poke in the eye. So we're not saying these things are bad, merely that we think they're overrated. Now, having said that, Downtown Grand's well liquor is Evan Williams. I'll take that all day, and it's out of a bottle, not a gun. So just saying.
No, so there are places that do it well, right? And I've had some good experiences with it. I don't know. I'd rather just go buy the drink I want, right?
Yeah, and I will say, like, here's where I will agree with you. I will see people play video poker on the strip at a video poker bar where the odds are terrible because they're getting free drinks. But once that pay table gets down to where the house has a huge edge, you'd be better off buying a drink and going to the high limit room and playing a higher denomination to get better odds.
So do you know who free drinks on the casino floor did always work out for? My brother-in-law,
Zero.
Mark.
Oh, yeah,
No,
Mark.
Mark, because Mark wanted Coors Light, and they will always give you a Coors Light, right? Like, that's okay with me.
Yeah. And I find, too, sometimes that's what I order because they can't mess that up. But it does depend on the property. So, Bill, my number five, I'm not trying to trigger you because, again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But I am going to say that the limo from the airport is overrated, particularly if you're staying on the south end of the strip, because that's a lot of money for a very short limo ride.
So I see your point, and it is a lot of money. but I hate lines. And I don't like, I can't tell you how often I've gotten to the cab line and it's, stinking around somewhere, or like I can't find my Uber driver at the Vegas airport. So my last couple of trips, I've actually skipped the limo or the hired car or whatever. And I see your point, right? Because it is a lot of money, particularly for that end of the strip.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait an extra 30 or 45 minutes to get in line to start my vacation.
No, and I get that too. And I've done it several times. Usually when I was traveling with you, it's nice. Don't get me wrong, but if you're staying at Mandalay Bay, it's 5 minutes. You're going to spend $100 for 5 minutes in the limo, and I get it. $100 for 5 minutes of fun is a Vegas thing that happens.
I thought you didn't do those sorts of things, John.
No, I can think of other ways I want to lose $100 in Vegas. Like I would rather, $20 to spend in a slot machine and whatever happens. Money's gone just as fast, but that's, yeah, I guess if you're staying out at Red Rock and you want something luxurious, maybe if you're heading down to your number 4 spot, Bill, maybe the limo makes sense.
It would make sense. I don't know that I would pay for my number 4 spot. So my number 4 overrated Vegas experience is Circa. Now, to be clear, I think that Circa is the nicest hotel on the Fremont Street experience, and it's not particularly close. It's just that it's not that much nicer than, say, the Golden Nugget, right? It's nicer than the Plaza, but it's not that much nicer than the Plaza. And it costs a whole lot more, and it's super crowded. And the thing which annoys the fire out of me at Circa is the way that you've got to present your ID every single time you go in the building. Y'all, I am not particularly close to 21 years old. I feel like I ought to get a pass on that the way that I did at the liquor store today. But nope, every single person scans the ID. I don't like scanning my IDs, so there's a record of when I've gone in and out. And I just don't want to be slowed down. You may notice a theme here. It's kind of the same theme as with my John's number 5, the getting a limo from the airport. I hate standing in line. You've got to do that every dang time you walk in the Circa. So Circa's a lovely hotel. It's overrated for what it is. Now, what's your experience at Circa, John?
So, and by the way, the worst hotel room video ever made was my review of the Golden Gate. But my tip is, if you want to swim at Stadium Swim and have full run of Circa, stay in a suite, not a regular room, a suite at the Golden Gate across the street. They're both Derek Stevens' property. It is a short walk. The rooms are the same square footage and the same amenities. Yes, I know your thoughts about the relationship to the bar area and the toilet. There's a door in between.
It's a poop and pour.
It is not a poop and pour.
It is absolutely a poop and pour.
But I would stay in a suite at the Golden Gate if I wanted the Circa experience, because you get full run of the property, including passes to Stadium Swim, and you don't have to get ID'd to get to your room, and it's about half the price.
I would stay at the D instead of the Golden Gate. And I will agree with you that Circa Stadium Swim, that's a phenomenal experience. I don't like the whole hotel, but sure, Circa Stadium Swim is great. But what about you, John? What is your number 4 overrated Vegas experience?
Oh my God. So I bill myself as the baller on a budget, and I watch all the YouTubers. So by the way, at some later date, we're going to break down our favorite YouTubers other than you, because I'm nobody's favorite YouTuber because my videos on the channel kind of suck. I think I do okay at this podcast host, but
great. Just maybe we make them at a slightly earlier point during the weekend when focus
before
is
I'm
more
Vegas.
deep.
I will say my shorts are great. My Evil Pie and my White Castle shorts, awesome. But my room reviews are not good. But we watch Vegas Influencer. Look, there's like 4 dozen of you on the podcast now. We thank you all so much for listening. We have a tiny audience. Of course, we watch all the other videos. I listen to a bunch of podcasts. Every time they do Cheap Eats in Vegas, which has my baller on a budget heart, every single one of those influencers talks about La Salsa in the Miracle Mile shops. That is the grossest poorest excuse for Mexican food. My God, it makes Taco Bell look like Rick Bayless's Frontera in Chicago or a gourmet place in Mexico City. It is god awful. I don't care how cheap it is. I will pay more for better food elsewhere. Do not go to La Salsa. Just don't. Just
You know,
ugh.
I feel like I should argue with you just on point of principle because that's the entire nature of our relationship over the last however many years it's been, 12,
Yeah,
13 years.
11
But
years, something
cool.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I will just take your judgment on this. And I will move on to my number 3 overrated experience. And this one gets tricky because it's a good meal. But this SW Steakhouse at Wynn is an overrated experience. And I want everybody to hear me closely. It's a lovely steak. And if you get one of the tables outside by the fountain show, not the fountain show, but at the lake, that light show, it's really pretty and all of that. It's just that it costs a lot of money. Like there are better steaks for the price. And they have the tables crammed so close together there that it's just not a pleasant experience. So I know that there's not any like steakhouses on your list, John, but I don't know, were you on that trip with me when I went to SW Steakhouse?
No, I haven't done SW. I will say that with steakhouses in Vegas, I like a good steakhouse in Vegas, but I don't want to spend dollar because I've never had the steak in Vegas that was better than what I cook. I've had some that were as good. And there's, I'm trying to remember the guy from Neon Feast, his name will come to me later, Al Mancini, says that there's 37 steakhouses in Las Vegas that would be a top 5 steakhouse in any major market in America and the number 1 steakhouse in small towns like where we live. So don't get me wrong. Like, I'm sure it's a lovely place, but there's like, you're across the street from Emmett's, which is not going to hurt your wallet and will still be better than any steakhouse in most listeners' hometown.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. And again, the SW at Wynn it's a great steak. It's just it's not what it thinks it is. Now,
Yeah.
John, I think you and I are about to get into a fight, but what is your number 3 overrated experience?
Okay, now I'm going to be very specific in how I phrase this. The MGM Properties VIP lounges. Now, Bill, I know you love a VIP lounge. I know, but hear me out. Hear me out.
Just as
If
one.
if you happen to book a room that comes with the lounge access, you got a suite at Bellagio. We've both done that, right? You stay in one of those penthouse suites, you get the lounge. Great, wonderful thing. If you happen to be, back when the Delano was a thing, it came with the lounge. If you're in a Sky Suite at Aria, it comes with the lounge. Fine. I'm not saying the lounges are bad if they happen to come with the room you want. But after staying at the Palazzo and getting to access their prestige lounge and seeing how Palazzo and Venetian run a VIP lounge, I'm just going to say this. If you're booking the higher room simply to get the lounge, skip MGM, go to Venetian Palazzo. Now, if you're booking the room because you want the room and it comes with the lounge, cool. But don't upgrade your room for that lounge. It ain't worth it. The MGM lounges are just okay.
So, to the point that you just made, sure, I see your point. There are almost certainly nicer VIP lounges than some of the MGM lounges. I will say that on the Dine Drink Vegas YouTube channel, most of my top videos that aren't about cigar lounges are about the VIP lounges on various MGM properties. So I know there's a lot of interest there. I fundamentally enjoy the experience, right? Like I want to get checked in and out more quickly. And it's not that the snack spreads are that elaborate, but you know what? I want really early in the morning is some free coffee that is right the heck there. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I put more value in a VIP lounge than you do, but you also have knowledge that I don't about other VIP lounges. So if your point is that the MGM VIP lounges aren't as nice as other properties. Cool, right? Like I can't argue
Yeah.
with you. It's just it's hard for me to call it overrated because it adds a lot of value to my experience. And I think there are a whole lot of folks out there. Okay, at least based on the demographics of our, or rather the search history of our YouTube channel, there are a whole lot of other people who are looking for that experience. And part of it may be that you and I go to Vegas 500 times a year. If you're
Yeah.
only going to Vegas once every couple 3 years, then your approach to a VIP lounge may be very, very different because it's more of a special experience sort of thing.
Yeah, and I get that, but I would just say be choosy. Like for a while, New York was adding on their piddly little VIP lounge for something like
Yeah.
it,
And it's
at
bad.
one point. At one point, it was like $15 a night extra. Cool. I'll go get me a cup of coffee in the morning and a beer in the afternoon, worth the $15. Fine. Maybe I'll grab a chocolate chip cookie. But now, if and when they offer it, it's like $100 a night upcharge. That lounge ain't worth it. I would just say, like, if it comes with the room you're booking and you're MGM locked, I'm not saying don't go, right? If you got a penthouse at Bellagio and they give you the access to the lounge, well, go. But I don't think I would go out of my way to pay extra just for the lounge. Venetian Palazzo, oh, that's worth the upcharge. Oh, that is worth the upcharge.
So I will partially concede your point, and I think it depends on which MGM property you're talking about. Because sure, the lounge at the New York isn't great, and the lounge at the Luxor isn't great. I really enjoy the lounges at the Bellagio and like the Aria Sky Suites.
So I'm gonna say this in a way that you will understand. The Prestige Lounge at Palazzo and Venetian makes the Bellagio VIP Lounge look like snack hour at a Drury Inn.
Oh dang! All right, you have sold me. I will go check it out. But let's
They
talk
have
about
full
something.
tilt. Oh, sorry.
No,
I
no.
want to finish this. They have full tilt canapes, and they have a full service bar, and not
Okay.
just an automatic coffee machine. They have a barista manning an Italian hand soldered masterpiece. So the
have my
quality
attention.
the quality of the food and beverage. We actually do have a video of this on the channel. It's one of my better videos. Yeah, amazing. It's night and day. It's night and day.
Sweet. Well, let's talk about something where we squarely agree, John. And I'd like you,
Oh, yes.
please, sir, to introduce this. But we independently came up with our list, and we both came up with the same number 2. So, what is your second most overrated experience in Las Vegas?
So I remember the first time I went to Vegas with you and our buddy Mike. And I can't remember where we were trying to get to because I had made decisions that trip. But we found ourselves near the MGM Grand, and we wanted to get up to Bally's, what's now the Horseshoe. And we decided to go to the monorail and use the monorail. And by the time we snaked our way through the whole frickin' MGM Grand, which is 5 miles from itself, and got on the monorail and rode ourselves up to the Horseshoe because we were going to Bally's, and we weren't going to something in Bally's. We were going something near Bally's, and we got off there at Bally's. Oh, we were going to Joe's at Caesars, and then we crossed the street. It would have been like 5 steps fewer just to walk the sidewalk. The monorail is so far off the strip. I'm not talking about the free trams on the, Bellagio down to Park and Excalibur down to Mandalay. Those are great. But the monorail on the other side, yeah, it's faster just to walk. Just walk. Just do yourself a
No,
favor.
I am absolutely with you. And if for whatever reason walking won't do for these sorts of trips for which the monorail is theoretically good, you're talking about a $10 or $15 cab ride. Just go get in the cab, right? Like
Yeah.
if it's July and it's 2:30 in the afternoon, spend $15 on the cab, right? Like it's a better trip.
Now, if you've made the terrible decision to stay at the MGM Grand when you've got a convention at the convention center, I guess the monorail makes sense. If you're going to be going back and forth 2-3 times a day, and you decided to book a room as far from the convention center as you could without leaving the county, I guess. But yeah, otherwise, no.
Yeah. No, you and I are on the same page. Well, John, can I talk about what my single most overrated experience is in Las Vegas?
Yes, sir.
So, and you and I don't have the same answer here, but I don't think you're going to hate my answer. And
No, I
it's
nearly put this on mine.
all right. And y'all, I love steak. I am a native God fearing Texan. I cook good steak. John cooks good steak. I love a good steak. I love a good steakhouse experience. I will pay good money for a steak. Bugsy and Meyer in the Flamingo is not a good steak, and it's a terrible experience, and it is my single most overrated experience in Vegas. And you've heard us complain about it on this podcast before, and you will hear us complain about it again because they've got a room that's open to the dang pool. And I don't want to see Maud from Boise coming in with her 472 children as she's tugging at the bottom of her swimsuit, walking in with her pool noodle as I'm having a $150 steak dinner. And also, with a nod out to our buddy Derek, the damn asparagus is terrible.
Now, I'll only disagree insofar as, and I was the only one at this table that felt this way. My meal at Bugsy and Meyer was superb. It really was. And I don't remember the topping I got on my steak, but it was gorgeous. My sides were fine. I had a wonderful meal until I watched a woman, and listeners, I am not a dainty little man. I am a big boy. I'm a big boy. I saw a woman who has at least 30 pounds on me, and I am not fat shaming. Good Lord, if you are a big person and you feel beautiful about yourself, go ahead and strut your stuff. But when I am eating my $100 steak dinner, I do not want to watch a woman who outweighs me dig a Lane Bryant bikini bottom wedgie out of her rear end while I'm chewing my steak. That takes you out of the moment. I don't mean to shame the lady. That is not the time and place for that view.
No, it is not the time and place for that view. And here's the other thing. You and I know the people that we are. So thus, we don't make that set of fashion choices. And if we were to make that set of fashion choices, which we don't, we wouldn't make them near anybody who was having dinner.
Yeah,
and that's
correct.
The problem with Bugsy and Meyer is that you're like one of the dining rooms is right there by where people walk in from the pool. The second problem is that while John enjoyed his meal, there were 4 or 5 of us there. He was the only one who enjoyed his meal.
Yeah.
Like we just didn't have a good night. And it's been, I don't know, I guess it's been 3.5 years now. We haven't been back for that reason, even though I've stayed in the Flamingo and I've been up and down the center of the Strip quite a few times.
Yeah, and this is the flip side to Al Mancini's advice about, there's 37 steakhouses that would be top 5 anywhere else. Here's the downside of that. Any restaurant can have a bad night. We had this with Kraft Steak at the now, God rest your soul, Mirage. Any restaurant can have a bad night. I got a bad meal at a high-end steakhouse. Here's the thing. In a food town as competitive as Las Vegas, look, when I'm here in West Texas, I will forgive a bad night from an otherwise good restaurant because I ain't got that many choices. And I can't stay mad at my handful of decent restaurants forever. If they have a bad night, I'll stay out of there a couple of months till they fix it. Then I'll be back. But in Las Vegas, you burn me once, I got options.
You absolutely do. So, John, what do you think is the single most overrated experience in Las Vegas?
So I've never been to this, but I've been by it in an Uber. And that is the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign on the south end of the Strip, just past Mandalay Bay. It's a cool looking sign. I thought about stopping to get out, and then I noticed that it was Labor Day weekend. It was 100 degrees. I was trying to catch up to y'all for a guy's trip, and there were like 50 people, 60 people waiting in line. Yeah, I'm not going to go stand out in the heat and sweat to get my picture next to a sign. I can get my picture next to 100 different signs, and there are better photographic opportunities in Las Vegas. There's replicas of that sign all over the place. Just not worth the time and the effort. And from what I've heard, there's people out there that will pretend to be an official photographer and charge you $50 to take your picture, right? There's just scammers out there waiting to get you. Y'all, it's a big city with a lot of cool stuff to see. Have your Uber driver drive by, snap a picture while the car is moving. Don't get out.
Yeah, I absolutely see that point. So my first trip to Vegas was what is the January holiday? Is that Martin Luther King Day? No, that's whatever the
Yes.
January.
And, well,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I was there
MLK
for
Day,
the
yeah.
January holiday in 2005. I've been going there for 20 years now. I've probably made 4 dozen trips to Vegas at this point. Still never been there because, I mean, fundamentally, I agree with your point.
Yeah. I mean, if you just got to, but you could Photoshop yourself there later. I'm just saying. Nobody will know. Yeah.
Well, John, I think it's probably time to start talking about Vegas news. And I can't say our first story without giggling like I'm a 13-year-old girl. So you have to say what our first news story is.
So Scott at Vital Vegas has shared the details of the new casino reward club at Virgin. As you may have heard, Virgin broke up with Mohegan Sun. They're now their own casino operator instead of having a Native American tribe. And this meant they needed a new rewards program. And if you are the Virgin, of course you have cherry rewards. Of course you do. Of course you do.
I can't even. John, are you going to go get your Virgin Cherry?
I don't know. Like I kind of enjoy getting off the strip, but I haven't made it over there yet.
Wait. But if you're getting off, can you really get a Virgin Cherry?
Well, there's that. Yeah, there's that.
I'm sorry. I will try to be mature, but I can't. And they knew exactly what they were doing when they named their dang rewards program.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can go in the back door, at least including, according to that one Garfunkel and Oates song. Some of you listeners will get that reference. Some of you will have to Google it. Also, Garfunkel and Oates, amazing. All right. Anyway.
So, in other Vegas news, Alanis Morissette has scheduled, and this is according to News 3 Las Vegas, Alanis Morissette has 8 shows scheduled at Caesars in October and November. And we discussed whether or not to include this, but we decided that if we didn't include it, it would just be too ironic. John,
don't you think?
Do you ever go to Vegas based on like a particular show you want to see?
No, but only because when there's shows that I want to see, it just turns out I can't get free at that time. This is one I would go to. I have a feeling the way my fall works. Like I said, listeners, we don't talk about our jobs. We don't talk about our politics. But I have one of those jobs where I sometimes am free in the summer, but rarely free in the fall and spring. You could figure out what kind of government entity I work for. It is very difficult for me to get to Vegas in October and November. If there's any way my budget and my calendar will allow, I would show up for this.
So is Alanis Morissette somebody that your wife enjoys?
Yes, but that doesn't matter at this point. So
no.
Alanis counts as not only a musical hero of mine, and I love music. I'm one of those dudes in the 90s that had the big crush on Alanis. I don't know why Dave Coulier would kick her to the curb. I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, a lot of us had that crush. So, John, your first story was about terribly named things in Las Vegas. Are there any other terribly named things in Las Vegas?
Scott from Vital Vegas also shared this week that the Spheres emoji has a name. The large orb is called Orby.
That is less bad than the Cherry Rewards Club at Virgin.
Marginally so.
Yeah.
At least we could joke about the Cherry Rewards.
Huh. I would have expected that to whatever. As weird stuff in Vegas goes, I will allow that. So
speaking of weird, hey, guess what's coming to the Rio?
I think what is coming to the Rio is that they're going to be hosting a version of a Canadian sensation, a Star Wars parody show called The Empire Strips Back. Oh dear Lord! Did we just write this whole run sheet to be a series of bad names? But it
I
launches on, wait for it, May the 4th, according to
may
multiple sources.
may the
I
fourth be
don't know
with
that
you.
that's the sort
Yeah.
of show I would go to, but I bet our buddy Mike shows up.
I have been told by Google, because I don't know anybody, but I like saying that I have been told, because if you use text to speech, Google will tell you things, and then you could sound like you're Scott from Vital Vegas, like you know things. I've been told, according to the Google, that they do not do full topless. So the ladies who dance in the show will be scantily clad, but not in the buff, right? But I'm willing to bet you get your Princess Leia bikini out of this show. I mean, that's got to happen, right?
But they're advertising themselves as a strip tease. So it's a strip tease where they don't strip. Do words not mean things anymore?
Well, they tease you that they're going to strip more than they do.
You know what? I'm an old man who's been married for 500 years, so cool, right? Like,
Yeah,
fine. Yeah.
close enough.
All right.
Hey, Bill, this next one is all for you, buddy.
Okay, so Win Zero Bond Social Club has published their membership initiation and annual fees, and per the Hollywood Reporter, John is not going to go. I looked it up earlier this afternoon, and the initiation fee is what, like $1,500, something like that?
So it depends. There's two tiers, and on the lower tier, it's like $2,000 for an initiation or 1,500, and then like 2,500 a year. But that's the cheap package. But there's also a surcharge if you're over 40.
Yeah. And there's additional charges if you want access to the location in New York. So, having previously been a member of country clubs and places like the Petroleum Club in Houston and stuff like that, those membership dues just don't strike me as all that obscene. It's just that I don't think I get to Vegas often enough for there to be value for it. Now, if you're in Vegas 5 or 6 times a year, or if you're entertaining business clients in Vegas or something like that, there is absolutely a use case for this. Because y'all, it's not a country club. It's in effect a city club. But if you're doing business deals in Vegas, if there's people that you need to impress, or if you're there a whole lot, yeah, there is absolutely a use case for this.
So, but based on what I did some reading, and including the local fish wrap out there, the Review Journal, and a few other sources that basically say that it's not so much the finances; they are going to be highly selective of their membership, and the reputation of the club in New York, the Zero Bond Club in New York. It's not really about the money. It's about who you know and who you are. So you either need to be very well connected, or you need to be a very young, attractive person, or both.
Sure, they
And
did
we are
say that.
neither.
No, they, as a general rule, they want, as with any sort of a private membership club or a lot of private membership clubs, they, as a general rule, would prefer that their members are referred by other members. I know that at the New York version of Zero Bond Social Club, people like, say, Elon Musk and Taylor Swift are members. And I don't think either of those people is going to give me a referral.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I might find the money for this if somebody did, but yeah, I don't. I don't see me getting an invite. And I think if I just filed an application, I think they'd get a really good chuckle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, another thing is so let us assume that I wanted to spend a $2,500 initiation plus, I don't know, a couple $1,000s a year in dues. There are other things that can buy me in Vegas that I think I would rather have the other things.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like this is not for the normies. This is for the people who know some people trying to do some business, make connections. This is not for guys like us, but it's kind of cool.
It is, in fact, kind of cool.
All right. Well,
Well,
on
John,
that note, Bill, I don't think I have anything else. Do you?
I do not have anything else, although I am about to have a second cocktail because I really enjoyed our drink of the day.
That sounds like a really good plan, but before you do that, why don't you tell the good listeners where they can find us on social media?
Folks, you can find us on YouTube at Dine Drink Vegas, where we do all of our reviews of things Las Vegas. You can also find us on YouTube at Dine Drink Travel, where we used to review cruises. That stuff is still up, but now we mostly review airport lounges and trips on airplanes. You can also find us on InstaSnap, Twitter, Blue Sky, and pretty much every social media channel at Dine Drink Travel. And where can they find you, John?
I am on Twitter, X, whatever it may be today, at Dine Drink John, and I would love to hang out and kick it with you. We thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast. If you've got a friend who enjoys going to Las Vegas, or an enemy that you want to listen to fat old guys talk about Vegas, please share our podcast with them. And until then, happy travels.